about.
Yesterday.
Yeah, just yesterday. Because I'm like, people think that I was throwing under the bus. And also, there's the point that, she said it on camera, so obviously it wasn't going to be a surprise. But they thought that she was throwing, I was throwing her under the bus. And I'm like, that was not my intention. And I told her some more information that I'm not revealing to the public. And she's like, all cool. We are all cool. So she didn't feel that way. And all is cool.
Did you keep the junk journal? Thank you for the whole question.
Starting off at $30.
I was really confused because I kept seeing comments about what about the junk journal or just the junk journal and I didn't know what you wanted to know about it. So did I keep it? Honestly, I said to Jen the other day, what did I ever do with that junk journal? Yeah. I didn't call it the junk journal because I didn't know that's what it was called. I just was like, what did I do with it? Like, I don't even know.
Yeah, we're not sure.
So I literally have no idea where it is.
Hey friends, it's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome back to my channel. It is Friday, December 6th, 2024, and I hope you're having a wonderful day. Mary Brown was over on her TikTok live a couple days ago, and she talked about the episodes. Apparently, she goes live on TikTok quite a bit. I didn't even know that, even though I have a TikTok. If you don't follow me on TikTok, we do a lot of talking about Gypsy Rose Blanchard and that whole mess, and sometimes talk about sister wives, but not often. That's kind of where we go to talk about Gypsy because it's kind of where a lot of the people are and where most of the problems are happening. There's a whole thing. But this is going to be an interesting video because Mary, on the one hand, on TikTok, she'll answer questions and she talks about the show and everything. And listen, I know that this is a reality show. I think everyone needs to remember this is a reality show. What we see on the show isn't all truth. It's not the whole situation. It's bits and pieces of a very bigger story. It's fragments of an experience. It's not the entire truth. It is drama. It is made by a network that is trying to get ratings, and ratings are built on drama. People don't generally tune into shows simply for wholesome entertainment. Those days are gone. In the world of the ability to go online and get news instantly and get entertainment quickly and drama fast, networks have had to get a lot more creative in creating shows that are interesting. Sister Wives has always been about drama, even though at one point they were trying to promote a show about polygamy and the benefits of it, but it was always centered around the drama in the family, always. Even when they did family events, Kody was always fighting with one of the wives, or one of the wives was fighting with one of the wives, or the kids were getting into fights. It really did just show the complexities of this family system. And there was a lot of lying that happened. Kody spent years and years and years and years and years making statements like, Mary is my soulmate. I love Christine. I love Janelle. I do this. I do that. And now, after all of his relationships have fallen apart, he is trying to rewrite history and claim that, he's the victim of polygamy, while at the same time screwing everyone out of money and still using the same tactics that fundamentalist men use in order to control women. And I'm not going to discount the fact that men can be victims of polygamy. I'm not going to discount that men born into these churches are as much indoctrinated into their faith and system as women. But Kody was born LDS and he went to normal high school and he went to public school and he was raised mainstream. Understanding that the mainstream LDS church doesn't practice polygamy, I know a lot of LDS people come into my comments every day and said, stop lumping the Mormons with this group. And it's impossible not to, because at the core of their beliefs, the Apostolic United Brethren believes everything that was the same of the original Mormon church. Everything. They believe all of the old teachings of Joseph Smith, Brigham Young, and the founders of this faith. Their differences are that in order for the LDS church to get statehood, because basically Utah was the LDS church back in the day, and it kind of still is, they were forced to stop the practice of polygamy. or else they wouldn't get statehood and couldn't become part of the United States. So they had to. They didn't want to, they had to. And they've had to make other choices to comply with federal laws and discrimination laws and just in general matching what's happening in the times. Like, for instance, in the 1970s, after the civil rights movement and incredible pushback, the Mormon Church, the LDS, finally allowed African American men and women to enter the temple and African American men to become priesthood authorities in their own families. Until then, they were never allowed to do that. And unfortunately, the LDS Church doesn't tell new members that they're converting about the history. They sanitize it, they try to erase it, they try to ignore it, they try to rewrite history. But the core of Kody's beliefs come from his upbringing in the LDS Church and the indoctrination that he got when he joined the Apostolic United Brethren. He was able to make a crossover into the AUB very seamlessly because at the core, they believe the same. They use the same books, they use the same guidelines. They just practice everything that Joseph Smith used to practice versus each year the new church gets rid of something because it's either not popular or they're going to lose some kind of federal funding, the state, they're not going to get statehood. There we go. So I can't separate them. And it's an uncomfortable truth for the Mormon church to have to deal with the fact that there are still polygamists that didn't agree with them splitting up and stopping polygamy to begin with. So Kody's indoctrination made him believe that he needed to do this, right? He was going to become a polygamist, but he doesn't get to become a victim in this situation by saying that now that the family has split, he's a victim of the fact that all he ever wanted was the connection with one woman and that he was denied the opportunity to have an emotional connection with a woman. It's completely obtuse, it's unfair, and it just completely erases the fact that the women in this family were the ones that were actually the victims. And it was Kody that wanted to be a polygamist. And frankly, he would still be a polygamist if these women hadn't have left him. He just wanted them to be normal polygamists in the polygamy world where he ignores them and they can't do anything about it. But in a recent episode, Kody made this comment, and I'm going to show you.
I was building a family. I wasn't whether I was in love. I loved them. Was I in love with them? Did I have the same experience with each one? No, never. That's a hard confession to make when I was working really hard to hide what Robin and I had while I'm trying to promote everything else.
So Kody is his new dialogue now. It changes. Here's the thing. Hindsight is always 2020. And time can give clarity to situations, but the truth is the truth regardless of what it is. And if you truly believed what you said and this was what it was, your story wouldn't change constantly. You wouldn't be constantly changing the experience that you had to fit the reality that you're in right now or justifying where you're at right now. And Mary has said this before about Kody. It's like he's trying to rewrite the experience that he had to justify the choices that he made so that he can, I don't know, live with himself. Kody, in the book Becoming Sister Wives, basically said that he has a tendency to fall in love with the idea of love and to get really worked up about someone and love the idea about someone and then change his mind and then decide he didn't love them. So does that change the fact that he actually loved them, or is it he in lust with them? I don't know. But Kody to act like he didn't love these women, I mean, in theory, yes, he might not have loved these women. In theory, he didn't have the experience of what a monogamist would be in love. It's just not possible in polygamy. But for him to act like he somehow didn't love Mary is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. My fundamental belief here, and this is just me, is that there were two women that Kody absolutely loved. Two women that he absolutely cherished and were his favorites, Mary and Robin. Kody chose Mary first out of everyone. He was head over heels in love with her. If you talk to anybody that knows them from their past, they will all say that Kody was like stupid in love with Mary. I mean, Janelle even spoke about and wrote about in the book about how in love they were and how uncomfortable it was for her because she felt like she just became like she was a stranger or like a guest in their relationship, and that she and Kody weren't really in love when they got married. And they weren't. They were like friends. Kody married Christine and Janelle for the number. They were suitable enough and they worked well enough for him so that he could have his 3 wives. But if you look at how he treated Mary in the very beginning, how he catered to her, how he was bending to her needs and giving her what she wanted and being empathetic to her and constantly defending her and saying she wasn't the problem. It wasn't her fault that this happened. You know, Mary isn't the problem. I mean, he said things like that about Mary. Like when they would talk about the problems that Janelle and Mary had, he would defend Mary's behavior. So she was the first wife and he was in love with her. I don't believe that he can rewrite that. Just because a relationship ended doesn't mean you didn't love that person. And just because you decided that you wanted more women doesn't mean that you didn't love her to begin with. And what happened with Kody is after years and years and years and years of him abusing her and treating her poorly and putting other people first and forcing her to live with his mistresses and their children while she's going through infertility and she's not allowed to deal with it, it changed her. And she had to live in survival mode. And Mary even said on a live on TikTok that when you're in survival mode and you're in fight or flight, it changes who you are. It's not who you are. You're responding from a base of trauma and pain. And Kody blames that on her and not seeing or recognizing what he did to her. So now for him to say, I couldn't hide the fact that I was in love with Robin while I was promoting all this, meaning while I was promoting polygamy, I didn't want to tell everyone that I was only in love with Robin. Kody, it was obvious. Anyone with a pair of eyes could see the favoritism. They could see the choices that were made. Adopting her children from a previous marriage while you don't claim the other kids. What? Marrying the 4th wife and kicking out the 1st wife? What? Basically staying all of your time at Robin's? The fawning you did over Robin, reminding everyone how beautiful she was, how she was too pretty to cook, your honeymoon like stage you had with her, how Robin basically at one point acted like she was the only one that had any intimate relationships with you and spoke about you like she was the only wife. It was obvious to viewers that the other relationships didn't really exist in any other capacity than the show. So he wants us now to believe that he couldn't hide it and he was trying to hide it so that he could promote polygamy, but didn't believe in polygamy. I don't believe that's what happened. I believe that Kody is now changing his story and saying this to make himself the victim. Like he was robbed of the ability to have this relationship with Robin because he had all these other things. Can you imagine, like, you literally are cheating on your wife and you're like, I'm the victim because I cheated and I had to hide the fact that I was in love with my mistress because I was promoting polygamy. Robin was a mistress. She was a homewrecker. He was a homewrecker. They both wrecked the home together. That's the fact.
Maybe this is the way it was always supposed to be. And that's hard to say when you've got all the children and all the experience and all the memories, but yet I don't know what else to do besides say, this is what's happening, so this is where we're at. The realization I've had since I talked to my brothers was that polygamy kills emotional intimacy. It makes everybody defensive.
I am really sad for his kids that he makes statements like this because I don't really care so much about the adult women that got involved. I mean, I have empathy for their experience when he makes statements like, this is always how it was supposed to be, and I was never in love with them. I have empathy for that. But when he says things like, this is how it was always supposed to be with just him and Robin, and with you, when you look at the state of the family, in that 90 to 95% of the kids are alienated from him. They don't want anything to do with him because he neglected them and abandoned them and abused them and has verbally berated them on a show and has put greed and ego above everything. And then he says, well, this is always how it was supposed to be. You're almost saying like this and what I've done and the pain I've caused and the people I've hurt, that's how it was supposed to be. So you were supposed to hurt them, degrade them, manipulate them, exploit them so that you could get to the point where you are right now, where you now just have Robin and the kids she is with that you only care about. It's like he doesn't even have the capacity to see the pain he has caused. It's no different than him claiming that he's been kicked out of his own family because it's another way for him to play the victim. And I was watching a recent Patreon of Tony and McKelty, and it's been harder and harder to watch those two, not because of McKelty, but because of Tony. Tony is so misogynistic. He is so arrogant and he's kind of narcissistic himself. He always takes Kody's side when it comes to what he says. Like he says that Kody was kicked out of the family. He believes Kody was kicked out of the family, not even thinking about the fact that Kody mistreated these women and children and they don't want anything to do with him. It's like, no, Kody wasn't kicked out. Kody was abusive. And even McKelty was disagreeing with him, right? And that's that indoctrinated misogyny that's in the system, that it's always the woman's fault. It's never the man's fault. Kody wasn't kicked out of the family. Kody isn't the victim here. Kody wasn't denied emotional intimacy. Kody definitely wasn't the one that was forced to settle for nothing while he went off and did whatever he wanted and slept with whoever. He had to make zero sacrifices, really, really. And he benefited the most financially from all of it. And so when you say things, well, I just have to tell myself that this is how it was always supposed to be, and it's hard to say that with all of the kids, then don't say that, Kody. It didn't have to be this way. You didn't have to do any of this, actually. Just because you can't live with yourself knowing that you've hurt people and you're an egomaniac and a narcissist and a megalomaniac and a jerk doesn't mean that it was supposed to be this way. And then he wonders why his kids want nothing to do with him. It's sad, honestly. But at least in a way, he's admitted he was a fraud, right? He admits that he was favoriting Robin over everyone else and that he was fraudulently promoting polygamy and acting like polygamy was a good way of living when he now says it kills emotional intimacy. So he admits all of these years it was just a one big lie. So why do you trust him now? All right, you guys, let me know what your thoughts are below. You guys, I hit 394,000 subscribers this week. I only need 6 more to get to 400,000 subscribers. And I would love it if we could get there at the end of this year. If you're one of those people that is watching every video and there are like 50% of you, can you please hit the subscribe button on your way out? Make sure to give this video a thumbs up also, and make sure to leave some comments about what your thoughts are in the comments below. And thank you all so much for watching. Let's get to 400,000. Thanks, everyone. Bye, guys.